Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Professor Olander, coming at you live as of the recording of this video. And I know, you have all spent countless nights lying awake in bed, just wondering, when am I going to be back? And so, here I am, with announcements and with a new video. So, a couple things that I wanted to cover is, the reason why I've been gone is, I think I've mentioned this in another video, is that I work for a railroad, and my schedule varies. Like, I kind of know what days I'm going to be off, but I'll get called in. I mean, it's sort of round and round and round, because in addition to being an engineer, I'm also the mechanic, so not only do I make the train run, I have to keep it running. So it's, I spend a lot of time in the shop, and I mean it's fairly busy. But I have some time coming up. Like today, I'm off today. I actually had planned on recording this yesterday, and I had started recording a video, but I was just so tired after I got in that the video wasn't going to be worth it. So doing it again today. I actually got to sleep in today for a change, so I have slightly more energy than I had before. But a few announcements. One is I have made a second channel called Oleander's Gaming Emporium. Don't ask. That channel is going to be primarily for any of the playthroughs. I'm not going to call it Let's Play because, that's just... that's just not what it is. It's just me playing games. Some of the stuff might have commentary, some of the stuff won't. I wanted to focus on games that I feel don't get a fair shake at things because of the way YouTube works and because of the way that the people that are making those videos are attempting, or the way they're doing it is they're trying to make money off of it, or, that's their business, which there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have anything against it. That's not what I do it for. You may have noticed that none of the videos after the war, I think, have ads on them. And I've kind of made it something, made it my way of doing things, is that I don't put ads on videos anymore. Because that's not the reason why I'm doing this. I probably should, but I don't do this for money. I do it because I like doing it, and because I think it's helpful. I have a job that I like. I actually love my job, to be perfectly honest. And it would be nice to have a secondary income, but that's not the purpose of this. Because I don't want it to become a job, I still want this to be sort of a hobby. So yeah, second channel, it's going to be about games. The videos that are up right now are for Run 8 Train Simulator, which is a lesser known train simulator that's out on the market. Probably the most accurate train simulator that's ever been made. And I just feel like it doesn't get the coverage that it deserves. So I've made a couple of videos about that. I've got them recorded, they just need to be uploaded. And that's it on the new channel. I'll put a link in the description below so that way you can go and check it out. And if you would, subscribe. And speaking of subscribers, we now have, as of the recording of this video, I think I have 470 subscribers. So thank you to everyone. That was sort of the motivation behind making the second channel, was I felt like I had quite a few people that had subscribed just for the Source Filmmaker content, and I didn't want to alienate them by throwing on a bunch of gameplay footage and whatever. I wanted to keep this channel just for Source Filmmaker stuff, whether it's animation or tutorials or whatever, and then put games and everything else on the other channel. So, with that being said, we're doing a Source Filmmaker video today, and if I go ahead and make a new camera, we are on the Two Fort night map. Now, I've had a lot of questions concerning this map. If you watched the video that I did on the poster making tutorials, I was using a different map. What has happened is the map that I used, I can't find it anymore. I thought I had it saved. apparently I have deleted it somewhere along the way, and I cannot find a download for it. I found where I got the map from, but the link is dead. It was a Dropbox link. If you go to the Source Filmmaker Face Punch page, there's a Mega Resources thread. The map that's on the first page of that thread, there's a 2 Fortnite map, and it's got the buildings and everything illuminated, and it's got some lights and everything. You can actually see the map. It's not dark like this. I can't find it anymore. I changed hard drives about 4 or 5 months ago, and I think somewhere when I was migrating my stuff up to my new hard drive, I ended up deleting the map, because I remember I moved all my Source Filmmaker stuff to the new one, and either the map got overwritten when I downloaded the new map from the workshop or something, but I can't find it anymore. If somebody can find it, please let me know. There was one that was on Game Banana, and of course it had the same problem. The HDR lighting wasn't working. I decompiled it and run it through Hammer. I kept getting errors. I think it's an SDK error. I don't know. I mean, I just haven't had a chance to look at it, but I spent several hours the other night trying to find it, and I couldn't get one to work. So part of this video is we're going to be making a workaround for it. And the second thing that I've been getting a lot of questions about is people can't decide what to make posters of. And my advice to you is, if you can't come up with an idea, there's a couple of different things you can do. You can either make posters of your own loadouts, which is a good start, because if you've played TF2, which I'm imagining that most of you have, that's probably how you found out about SFM. If you've played TF2, you've probably come up with some swag, some items. You know, you've got your own loadout, because that's what people do. It's a game of hats, as we all know. Do your loadout, you know. Pick one of your loadouts and think about the maps that are on TF2 and where it would look good, and just make a poster around that. And if you run out of ideas from that, one of the things that I did about a year ago was on the TF2 Reddit, I put up a post saying that I would make a loadout poster for anybody that wanted one. And I just asked them, I said, what's your loadout? Any map preferences? Anything that you wanted to be included in it? And I made them. And if you look on my DeviantArt page, and I'll put a link to that in the description as well, those are the posters that I have made for other people. The last probably 20 or so that are on the page are the ones that I've made for other people. Now, buyer beware, the images that you're seeing have been sent through Photoshop before they got posted. Some of the differences aren't that major, but some of them are. And I may do another video on Photoshop, but it's one of those things where, it's I don't want to do one on Photoshop because not everybody has Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop CC now because it's a subscription as opposed to paying. I forget how much Photoshop was. It was like $400 or $500, and now you can get it for $10 a month or something like that. Which is, you still got to pay for it. But I've used GIMP and I've used Photoshop, and I can tell you that Photoshop is a little bit better than GIMP. There's certain things that they do fairly well, but Photoshop just, I don't know, it's just easier for me to work on. And there's some other stuff that I have that are that's in Photoshop that not everybody else is going to have access to. I got lucky. A friend of mine was a graphic designer, and I was able to get a plug-in from them under their license for Photoshop that I use on a lot of mine. It's called Magic Bullet. I was able to get that to use on mine. So that being said, that may be a video that I do in the future. I don't know. But for right now, we're going to address two things I'm going to give you a workaround for this light issue, and we're going to do a loadout, and it's going to be one of my loadouts. I don't have a picture of it up here, but first thing we're going to do is turn off ambient occlusion, and we're going to create a animation set for our camera. And this is going to be a spy loadout, by the way, in case you were wondering. We're going to go ahead and right click in the viewport here, enable lighting, that way we can see. The way that I have done this in the past is camera is going to be in the primary viewport, and then we're going to have the work camera over here in the secondary. And this map likes to lag for some reason. So we'll select the camera, come over here to the lenses, and 50 mil. And let's see. I'm thinking maybe something about like that, and that's probably going to end up being a little bit of a tighter shot. Come up with some more. That's not too bad. So we'll leave it right there for right now. And my apologies for not having any music or anything in these. You know how YouTube is. I was going to put the Team Fortress 2 soundtrack, but I mean, after the debacle that happened last year and the year before with music and everything and copyright stuff, it's just not worth it. So, alright, let's add a new model here. HWM, and I should have let this load beforehand, but we'll deal with it. I want a Spee, El Spio Grande, and whenever it's ready, there we go. I have a little bit of a cold too, so if I sound nasally, that's why. The weather here has been absolutely crazy. So let's see, just grab the transform, shift to put him down on the ground, and I'm thinking somewhere right there. Just kind of rotate him a little bit. This is also going to be a blue spy, so we'll just right click on him, come down here to set skin and 1. And the reason why I'm using a blue spy, it'll become obvious in just a minute. We're going to cheat, and we're going to put an animation preset onto him. So import sequence, and I want stand primary. Yeah, stand primary. If I can find it. Oh, it is. Okay, it is the secondary. There we go. That's what we want. And we're going to take the animation out of him, so come over here to the procedural tab with the spy selected. Playhead, that flattens all the lines of animation, so he's just going to be standing there. So just widen this up a bit, and then come over here. We're going to take his neck and turn him a little bit like that, and we'll select the face, and that brings up the transform for his eyes. We'll hit the R key, grab the nipple right here, the nipple. That's not what it's called, but that's what I call it. And holding the shift key, just kind of moving it onto his face here. Get it about right between his eyes, and then let go. And we'll just click in here in the area, and we can move his eyes as we need to. And I want to. It's kind of hard to see because of the yellow right there, but I'm just kind of somewhere around in there. This little green dot right there, that's what he's actually looking at. So that is pretty close. Maybe drop him just a bit. I think that'll work. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, this is a tool that got added into SFM a couple of updates ago, is we can now add Team Fortress items to models without having to go through, find the model, and then and then have to lock everything and get it lined up and dealing with that. There's a few of them that are either they're glitched out and they don't attach to the right place, or it's the wrong model. One of them is the team captain for the medic is the wrong model. It's actually, if you go through the menu, which is right click on it and then come down here to add Team Fortress items, if you go through this one and you add a team captain to the medic, it's actually the soldier's team captain that gets added. It's the wrong hat. I haven't checked it with the heavy, but it may be the same thing. But what we're going to do is, for this one, we're going to add the Dr. Woe. And I should mention that the loadout that I'm using, and we'll just make this blue. The loadout that I'm using is one that's known in the community as Dr. Enforce Sickle, which is the Dead Ringer, the Enforcer, and the Spy Sickle. And I came up with a kind of a crazy loadout for it. So we're going to add another one. You can actually add weapons, so we're going to use Enforcer. And there you see the Enforcer comes up. We're going to add the... I can't even remember what the name of the item was. What was it? Marks, I think. There we go, the Marksman. And then the Sam's hat. Let's see. Hat of cards. I thought it was Sam's hat, but apparently it is not. Bill's hat of cards. Well, you know what? We'll do this the old-fashioned way. I will find it. Not a light. Not yet. I thought for sure that I had... Oh, I know how to find it. It should be under poker. Or we'll just do the old-fashioned way. This is how we used to have to do it, so consider this a nostalgia-esque way of doing it. There it is right there. It is Sam hat. I don't know what the name of it is in the game. But this is the hat you get from Poker Night 2. If you beat Sam in a showdown. So we're going to lock this one the old-fashioned way. So we open up the spy, body, bip head, lock that down here onto the head on the hat, click it, and 0. Now, we have to do a little bit of finessing with this because the eyebrows, as you can see, kind of clip through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab the head transform on here and we're going to roll it back. Roll it back just a bit, and then we'll pick it up ever so slightly. That's about right there. There we go. And then we'll just make sure that we turn this blue. And there's our Dr. Enforce Sickle. Now what I can do is come back in here and do Ice Sickle. If I can remember. The reason why... I'll tell you what, we can still do it the other way. We'll just click on the spy and we'll come down here. And we want the Spy Sickle. What we're going to do is we'll just unlock it. We just come down here, unlock all of these. Then we'll grab it. That's interesting. kept grabbing. I don't know why it wouldn't move. Anyway, we'll just work with the weapon bone here. We'll just come down and see how his hands are cupped. We'll just shift click onto that, rotate it, and then maybe grab his hand and rotate that back and down a little bit so it's not clipping, and then back this way, and then we'll just kind of line the bicycle up in here. Doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't even have to do this. I'm just doing this for... Now, the dead ringer we're not going to worry about because we've got the Dr. Woe on there. But I actually kind of debated whether I was going to do that or the blood banker. And, you know, it's personal preference, and we'll just do it like this. And maybe the thing to do... I'll tell you what. Okay, so let's say that we have the bicycle here where we want it to be in his hand, and we want to move. We don't like this position, so we want to move everything. So what we can do is take his hand, and I'm just control clicking onto it. Take his hand, click it, drag it down to the weapon bone, and then just all it does is lock it. You might hear a train. Guys are getting ready to head out. And then with them locked together, we can move everything, and then they move as one. So what we have to do is just kind of eyeball where we are over here. Can't go too much. I'm thinking something like that right there. And yes, I have a window open, so you might hear a truck going by. Let's see. I think that's going to work. One thing we do need to do is up here where the marksman, these glasses right here. We'll just leave that. There's a second one with a cigar. We're not going to worry about it because he's got a cigarette. One thing that we are going to do is we're going to add a particle system. So right click and then animation set for new particle system, browse, and I'm in the game/tf/particles. We want sig smoke, and we want the sig smoke. And set the start time as -5. Damn, they're late. Sorry, I was just checking my time. And we're going to make it go for 10. And the same thing down here, 10 again. And what we will do, there's an easy way to do this on this particular one because his cigarette in the game has got a point where the smoke attaches in the game. So you see where it says prop cigarette? We're going to just control click onto that, and that just opens it up so I don't have to go hunting for it. Click and drag down to control point 0 on your sig smoke. Click on that. 0 preset it. Now it's going to be inside of his head. If we just kind of go left and right, you'll see that you can't see the smoke. So what we need to do is hold the screen transform right here and just move it out. And it gets to the side, and that's perfect. And then now, there you see, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the smoke coming off over there. It's going to be very, very subtle, so we're probably not going to see it. One other thing that we're going to do is we're going to make another one. We're going to do the sig burn. So same place we went before. We want this burn. Same thing, -5, 10, 10. And then we could just open up the tree, bring this one down, and then 0 that, and then it's the same place. Scrub out, scrub back, and you won't notice it right now, but since we have everything where we want it, with the exception of that, I didn't notice that. That was my phone. Never noticed that before. Well, we're not going to worry about that. I don't know why I didn't see that. We'll just drag that out of the way. You know, if you ever get something that doesn't, you know, that's part of a model that you don't want just seen, just drag it out of the frame. And that's how we're going to deal with that one. I don't know why those were like that, though. Alright. And that's all we're going to do as far as posing, so let's go ahead and take care of the light situation. So, re-enable the lighting, and you're going to get this where everything's going to be, you know, lit up. Just scrub back and forth through the playhead. Now that SIG burn that we were using, that's this little glow. Actually, I might need to bring it forward just a little bit. See that burn right there? It does need to come forward, doesn't it? Ever so slightly. Whoops. Control Z. There we go. Probably needs to come forward up just a bit. And I'm being persnickety. There we go. Probably too much. So just go right there. That's close. And I'm kind of OCD when it comes to this. So we'll just move it just a bit more. And that's too much, so we'll just go back. That's too much. We'll leave it right there. Alright. Enough of that. So now what we want to do is lights. Now, I prefer working in dark maps because you get the better contrast, and it's also a good way to practice your lighting skills. So for this one, you know, when I first started making posters, I was using the darkroom map that comes with Source Filmmaker, and it's just a good way of you know, learning how to light things and what works and what works and what doesn't. So kind of consider it a blessing you're starting with a clean slate. So we're going to go ahead and make a new light. And the first light we're going to make is going to be the light. You see that light right there? We're going to come up here, and then we're going to rotate down. And then this is going to be the light that's going to kind of illuminate everything. And we're just going to pretend that it's right over top of them. We're going to just widen that out a little bit. We're actually going to come a little bit ahead of him. It's going to be, he's slightly off center, so we want it like that. Now, one thing you got to be careful of is you don't want a light that's going like this, because it doesn't look natural. Because then you have to kind of explain the light source. So we're gonna pretend that there's a light right above him, which there is, and just kind of get it in position here. We want to make it as wide. Now we can angle it just a little bit that way, but not much. You want it to feel like there is a light above him. Okay? And it's going to make sense in just a minute why we're doing it like this. So, shadow attenuation, we want that all the way on. That means anywhere where there's something where the light's hitting a model is casting a shadow. And the shadow filter size, this will sharpen up the edges. We don't want it all the way on, because then you start getting these artifacts. These little artifacts right here. So we're going to bring that off to about right right there, and then give it just a little bit of radius because this is a fairly hard light. We don't want to soften the edges. Now, what I usually do is I will verify these lights every time I add one. So to do that, we're going to right click on here, render settings, and where it says here your depth of field and your motion blur, I'm going to go ahead and set this to at least 64. You can do whichever ones you want. For right now, I'm just going to use these. Tell you what, I would recommend using at least 64, but I'm going to go ahead and do 1024 to 256. I think this computer can render them out fairly quickly. And we're just going to hit the tab key to go into the clip editor. Give it a second, let everything render out, and if you were to render out this poster, this is what it would look like. You see that the line's smoothed a little bit, and if I take the radius here and run it all the way up, you start losing a little bit of, you start losing your shadows, which that's not terribly bad. I'll probably bring it back somewhere about right there. I don't want this to be a white light. I want it to be somewhat to the yellowish side, so we'll take some of the blue, take some of the green. We're going to leave it, I tell you what, we'll leave the blue, come back on some of that, and we'll make it a kind of a purple. A little more, something about like that. Let that render, and probably drop the intensity just a bit. We're not losing a whole lot of stuff. And that's going to work. And what I was trying to do is I'm trying to prevent a glare right there because this is white, and if the light's too intense, it'll you'll get a hot spot, so to speak, and we don't want that. So let's make a new light. Drag that over here. We're going to make another light behind him. And now this is just to make some shadows. We'll bring the intensity down just a little bit. But what we're doing is we're creating areas of light and dark. So you see you've got some light areas, and you've got a dark area, and then another light area, and that just, it helps create some depth, and it helps make the image a little more interesting. So you've got a little bit of shadow there. What we're going to do is we want the same color that we had, so we'll open up the light here. We want to select the red, hit Control, select green, and select blue. Come over here to the motion clip editor. You want to right click, copy samples, just click on this light and then paste samples, and that will change the color of your light. And then we can actually lighten that up just a bit, not much, just a bit, and that light's finished. So the next one, we want to make a new one. This one is going to be a light that's going to be in the background. Remember, we haven't really focused on lighting our subject up yet. We're just going to make something to kind of make the background a little bit more interesting so it's not static. We're going to come up, make a light somewhere in here just to kind of make it look like this is a lit room. I'm thinking something like that. Now see, you're catching this wall right here. You're also catching the ramp. There's some shadow on the wall. It actually breaks this post up from the background. We're going to change this one. We'll take out a lot of the red, and you see it becomes this sort of aqua blue. We're going to take just a little bit of the green out. Maybe up the intensity just a bit. Somewhere around in there. Same thing, shadow attenuation, shadow filter size, and radius. Not so much radius. And I forgot to do that on this one, but we're going to do the same thing. Shadow attenuation, filter size, radius. So let's see what that's going to look like. That's pretty good. Alright. We're going to do one more light on the background before we start worrying about our spy. This light's going to come out here. I'm watching very closely at what we're looking at on our viewport. So we want to make some moonlight. So we just make a very, very wide sort of light. Now don't worry about this just yet, because we're going to have to fix that. And we're looking for something. We're looking for shadows right now. So we're also making sure that stuff is being included in the light, because this light has only got so far of a draw distance, and we may have to make a second one. But I think we can get it all. So we're going to do like that. Now don't worry about how bright it is right now. We're going to change that in just a second. We want to make this a blue light because we want to simulate that this is full moon. So we want to take a lot of the red, not all of it, probably about half or so, come down on the green, bring some more red out of it. Let me take just a little, just kind of adjust back and forth. People out mowing their lawn today. Something about like that, and then we'll just come over here to intensity and we'll make this very, very subtle. Very, very subtle. Something about like that right there. And I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're just going to take this take this light, copy the animation set, right click in here, paste animation set. That makes us a second light, and then we just come over here. And we can get as close as we need to. And then what we're going to do is take this third light, we're going to copy this animation set, and then we're going to paste that one. And I know we're getting close, but fear not. We will get there. Let's see. Just kind of move it around a little bit. Maybe raise it up. Trying to get some light on that ramp, and then that'll work. Let's render everything out for a second. Okay. So for this light, we want it to have shadows. For this light, we don't. We'll just right click on it and disable shadows. That gives us another light to play with. So for the other light that we just did, this light 4, which is our other one, the shadow attenuation, shadow filter size, and a little bit of radius. And then that's going to be it for the background ones. Now let's focus on the subject ones. We've got 2 lights left to play with. Or I'm sorry, we've got 3 lights now. New light. We want to make a bounce light that's going to serve up here. This is going to be a very, very subtle one, and we don't want to hit the spy. And the reason why is because we don't want it to something about like that right there. It's going to be a very, very low intensity. And all that is just, this is some of the reflective light that's coming from these lights here. Something I didn't think about. I'm just moving this around for a second. I didn't realize there was a gap right there, but yeah, that adds just a little bit more depth to it because this one is getting some of the light from our moonlight. All right, this one. Let's take some of the blue. Not much. We'll leave this one's kind of the reddish. Take some of the green. That'll work fine. We want another one. This one is going to be a bounce light for the sky, for the spy. And it needs to be it's going to be off to the side here. Kind of down towards the ground. Bring it back. And I don't want his whole face. I just want about half of it, or about a third. So something about like that right there. We're going to lower the intensity, and we'll make this kind of a purplish. Maybe bring the intensity back up just a bit. And then same thing, shadow attenuation, shadow filter size, and radius. And then one more will be the light that's going to come behind him. And because you have a light shining down behind him, this light will make sense. So we'll just come back here. We'll get sort of from this side here. This will serve as our rim light. Something about like that. And again, this will be sort of a purplish, a little bit less red. The intensity looks fine. Same thing, shadow, radius, render. Looks good. And then last thing is to right click and turn on ambient occlusion. Actually, I take it back. We'll do one more step before that. This is the one that I always forget. Click on your camera, and then we'll look at our focal distance. We want it somewhere around right there where it's just cutting through the spy. We'll turn the aperture up about halfway, render that. You should see the background get fairly fuzzy. And what that does is that brings the spy further forward. Maybe give it just a little bit more. And maybe go just behind him. That'll bring him into sharper contrast. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and now we'll do the ambient occlusion. We'll do show ambient occlusion. And then we'll just kind of move our sliders here, looking for the most detail that I can get. Probably going to be something like that. About there. This one's going to be tricky. Thinking something there. That's better. And you might have to adjust one slider, then go back and adjust another one, just to kind of get a feel for how it's going to work. And I'm thinking something about like that right there, and then we'll just tab over and just see how that's going to render. And I think that's going to look pretty good, so we'll go ahead and turn that off. Let it go. And there we have a finished one. This is just one that I threw together. You can remove this particle if you want to, because you notice how it's clipping through the hat. That's just something that you have to deal with these posters or with source filmmakers, that particles can clip through. And as far as I know, there's no way to make them interact with solid objects. So, but yeah, this is just short and dirty about doing loadout posters. You can see you got the Spycicle down here and then the Enforcer. And you can do it with any of your loadouts. You can do it with, you know, loadouts that people suggest to you. But yeah, this is the kind of the workaround for the dark map. And you know, if you're ever needing some inspiration for posters, you know, do one of your loadouts, do a friend's loadout or something like that. So hope you enjoyed it. If you do get a chance, check out the new channel if you want to see some more of the gameplay videos, because that's where they're all going to be from now on. Hope this helped, and hopefully I will have some more videos up. I will probably end up making another one on some other stuff with Source Filmmaker either later on today or this weekend, because I've got some time coming off. So everybody have a good day. I'll have all the links in the description, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.